But first, jury selection is underway right now in South Carolina in the Murdaugh family murders case.
What say you, Richard Alex Murdaugh? Are you guilty or not guilty of the felonies wherein you stand indicted?
Not guilty.
How shall you be tried?
By God and my country.
I'll get up to it now. It's bad.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
This investigation is unlike anything anyone has ever seen. He has been indicted by the Colleton County Grand Jury for the murder of Maggie Murdaugh with a rifle and for the murder of Paul Murdaugh with a shotgun.
People say to me, how can you represent this guy? It is my duty to do that.
Oh, and Court TV obtained this video of the defendant's arrival this morning. Take a look. Alex Murdaugh appearing to be in pretty good health this morning, moving quickly out of the van that transported him to the Colleton County Courthouse for his trial. Jury selection underway right at this very moment, folks, and we are told it's going to move quickly again over the next couple of days. Summons is sent out to 900 prospective jurors are scheduled to arrive in staggered groups. Now, his legal name is Richard Alexander Murdaugh, and he's accused of murdering his wife Maggie and his son Paul back in June of 2021. Their murders set into motion the start of an investigation that found a long, and I mean long, list of alleged criminal activity. Alex Murdaugh has pleaded not guilty to the charges brought against him, and his defense team says he's got an ironclad alibi, going so far as to say the real killer or killers are still out there. Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson reports.
I'll get up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Since his arrest, Alex Murdaugh has said he had nothing to do with the brutal murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul at their sprawling South Carolina Moselle property.
He believes he's innocent. Of hers, he's innocent. And two, he believes that the killer or killers are still at large, and this would allow SWAT to put this behind him and go look for the real killers.
Prosecutors have revealed that Maggie and Paul were shot and killed between the hours of 8:30 p.m. and 10:06 p.m. on June 7, 2021.
I've been told by attorneys who are close to the family that he has an ironclad alibi.
Defense attorneys filed this notice of alibi, stating Murdaugh was not present at the time, place, or date of the murders. In the HBO documentary Low Country, The Murdaugh Dynasty, defense attorney Jim Griffin said the evening started out with Alex and Paul riding around and inspecting the property. This after news earlier in the day that Alex Murdaugh's father had been moved to hospice care.
They were just, hanging out together. And then they met their mother and they had dinner.
According to Griffin, after dinner, Maggie went out to the dog kennels. Paul went outside, and Alex took a nap.
And he woke up about 9 o'clock, and he wanted to go check on his mother. So he tries to call Maggie first, and she doesn't answer. And he tries to call Paul, and he doesn't answer. And he texts Maggie and says, "I'll be right back." He leaves, and he is on his phone from 9:03 through 9:21.
Court documents state that Alex made several phone calls during that 18-minute drive, speaking with his son Buster, his brother John Marvin, John's wife Liz, attorney and longtime friend Chris Wilson, and the family's groundskeeper CB Rowe. Then, at approximately 9:20, Murdaugh arrived here, visiting with his mother Libby Murdaugh, who suffers from dementia, and her nurse Shelley Smith until about 9:45.
He was with her about 20 minutes from Moselle.
Okay, so he has an alibi, but his alibi witness I don't think would be able to testify.
Defense attorneys say that while on the drive home, Alex spoke again with Chris Wilson. The document doesn't say what the two discussed, but the state argues that Murdaugh was confronted earlier this same day by an employee at Murdaugh's law firm over missing attorney's fees involving a case Murdaugh and Wilson had worked on. After this call to Wilson, Alex arrives home.
And then he arrives back to Moselle a little bit after 10 o'clock. house was still locked up, and there'd been no sign that either Paul or Maggie had come into the house. He got back in his car and drove down to the dog kennel. And that's where he discovers her body.
Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Did you hear anything, or did you come home and find them?
No, ma'am. I've been gone. I just came back.
That was our Matt Johnson reporting there. Again, jury selection happening right now. It's possible, folks, they could have a jury seated in this case by the end of the day. They've allotted multiple days for it, just in case it takes that long. You heard me say 900 summonses were sent out to prospective jurors in Low Country, South Carolina for this one. Let me bring in our guest, who is standing by in Columbia, South Carolina, criminal defense attorney John Mobley. Hi there, my friend. Good to see you on the program today. I've got so many questions for you, but I want to start with the one that is what you are most looking forward to seeing in this case with the trial that has finally arrived.
Well, Julie, I got to call it like I see it. This case has, all the feel of a heavyweight title fight in some respects. I think that the big thing I'm looking at is that how strong is the physical evidence the prosecution has? They've been very, very tight-lipped about that. They haven't leaked a whole lot of information. We've heard about the bloody shirt, but from what we've heard, based on pretrial testimony and pretrial motions, the bloody shirt is not that compelling. So that's the big question. How strong is the physical evidence? Forget about the fact that he's a thief. Forget about the fact that he's a drug addict. How strong is the physical evidence? That's the million-dollar question I have.
I like it. That's a great question. And I'm sure many of our wonderful courties watching have the same question, John, right? I mean, we want to see what is going to tie him, allegedly, according to, the state's case that they've, put forth against this guy. They've got to bring the evidence, as you know. And I like how you called it a heavyweight fight. I'm anxious to ask you, please, John, about these attorneys who are defending Alex Murdaugh. You practice in South Carolina. I understand that you know some of them or all of them personally. Share with us what you can about their reputations as lawyers and what you're expecting them to do during the trial, please.
Certainly, and I know both lawyers very well. As a matter of fact, when I was a young prosecutor, the very first job I had was working for Dick Harpootlian when he was solicitor. So
I didn't know you were a prosecutor.
Yes,
Wait, and you worked with Dick
Harpootlian? By Dick. Yes, he chewed me out many times early in my career.
So was he the solicitor and you were an assistant solicitor to him?
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, matter of fact, he hired me as a law clerk.
Really? That's awesome. I did not know. See, it's a little known fact about you, John Mobley. You were also a prosecutor. You know I'm going to include that in your intro from here on out.
I always fill with surprises.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so tell me about what was it like working with him as one of his assistants, John?
Hey, whether you love him or hate him, I mean, Dick is he's a Cadillac of lawyers. I mean, he's a smart lawyer. He likes being in the courtroom. And one of the vivid memories I have as a young prosecutor when I worked under Dick is that, oftentimes the top guy, the solicitor, the district attorney, they're too busy running the office to be involved in the courtroom. That was never a problem with Dick. There have been plenty of times that Dick would just walk into an office and pick a prosecutor and say, hey, we got court this week. Put together the case and put it on the trial roster and get it ready for him to try. Just to show he could walk in there and look over somebody's notes and try a case. I mean, he would do it. It wouldn't be a high-profile case. It wouldn't be necessarily a murder. It could be a DUI. It could be a burglary. He did it all the time just to prove he could do it. Great by example. And to this day, you look at him, I mean, Dick's 74 years old. He's a state senator. He has a great plaintiff's lawyer practice as well. He has a great criminal defense practice, and he's still in here on a case that's taken up a lot of time. Matter of fact, recently we had a situation here where the solicitor in a very high-profile corruption scandal got removed from office here in South Carolina, and quite frankly, Dick was instrumental in getting that guy out of office. So yeah, I mean, this guy, he's got all the weapons, he got all the tools. He's competent, he's smart, he knows the law, he's great in the courtroom. So, you couldn't ask for a better lead counsel. And Jim Griffin, he's no slouch. The last time I I talked to Jim, who was at a bar in a hotel in Atlanta at a seminar. We had a great conversation. Another brilliant attorney, much more low-key, but smart, just different styles, and I think their styles are going to complement each other.
Tell me, I'm curious, John, do you think that it will be more difficult or less difficult for them having a trial attorney as their client in this murder case?
I don't think so. I mean, my guess in this one is that Dick and Jim rather going to have good client control. He knows he's got good lawyers. He's going to do what they tell him to do, which is probably just sit there and be quiet and let them do their jobs. I'm certain he's probably not going to testify. He's got too many issues, too many landmines, credibility-wise. At this point, we still don't know how strong the case is, and I think they're going to have good control over Mr. Murdaugh.
Mm-hmm. Right. And do you think, John, I'm curious, with Alex Murdaugh having been a trial attorney, of course, he's going to be very involved with his defense. As you said, if he's smart, he'll be quiet, listen to them, take their guidance. Do you think that, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes out, but I'm curious if he's having any influence on their theory of the case. We know we're seeing this alibi defense put forth. That was an excellent report. We just played on it at the top of our hour here that Matt Johnson put together. So we know what's coming. The state knows what's coming. I'm curious who it's coming from, if this is coming from Alex Murdaugh or if it's coming from an independent investigation that, Dick Harpootlian and the other attorney put together. Share with us your thoughts on it, please.
Well, I'm certain that they hired their own team of private investigators in this case. I mean, and that's not uncommon. I do that when I have a murder case. I mean, you don't want to just lay your entire defense based on the information that the state's investigators and law enforcement investigators put together, because they typically, even the best investigators, they'll miss things, or there are things they won't follow up on, or there are things they'll make mistakes about. And oftentimes, they only want to investigate things that are consistent with their theory of the case, versus asking questions and trying to get evidence and obtain evidence that's inconsistent with the defendant's guilt. So I'm certain that early on, that was a big part of the defense. Their own investigators, their own experts, forensic experts, data experts to analyze all the data. Matter of fact, I know Dick has somebody on staff that's an expert in document organization and digital imagery. He can go through all that kind of stuff. So I'm certain they had a substantial number of that, and I'm certain that their defense is based significantly and substantially on the evidence they could uncover on their own, because it's going to be different than what the prosecution has.